hopefully everyone is doing well. I see here that there are some of my students in the room, some new traders. So I like to have these webinars once in a while, which I think that I bring to light a lot of different situations with the market as far as looking at price action. I want to show you the Atlas line today. I also am going to teach you a little something. We see here that there's a huge, just get rid of that there, a huge candle right over here that was based off of news. I have a few videos out there on the web, a couple hundred videos. One of the videos that I have, which I think that if anyone really wants to have an understanding of how I look at price and how I understand price action, is this video on trading the news. I'm not going to spend too much time on this today, but I'd like to answer your questions. Hey, Mohammed. You know, the idea here is to not put up a few moving averages or bands or channels. It's really to look at price in a different way. So this video that I have on trading the news that everyone could see for free, and a couple other videos that I think are of good quality for education-wise, tell you that this here, based off a news event, is an opportunity. Now, right now, I don't know if the market's going to go up or going to go down based on this news event. But what I can tell you is that if the market comes all the way back down and crosses this chaotic bar that started the news event, we have an opportunity to go short, and it would be a shorting opportunity to sell the market. Okay? So I want you to think about these candles and the price as they move as proof where the market wants to go, up or down. So let me give you the rules in case you haven't seen the video already. If you like to see the video, please visit the DayTradeToWin page or the YouTube page. Lots and lots of videos there. But the way this works is that the initial reaction here is based off of a report. The report comes out and everyone runs and buys or sells just based off of that report, right? Just based off of that report. Now, I have a different take on the subject because sometimes it's a positive news report and the market goes down, and vice versa. So I am looking to do the absolute opposite of this chaotic bar. And so the absolute opposite of this chaotic bar is to sell it. This is a bullish candle. It closed higher than open. It lured everyone in, but now it's starting to falter. So it may come all the way down, but I'm waiting for two consecutive closes above or below this. I'm sorry, looking for two consecutive closes below because it's a positive candle, or two consecutive closes above if this happened to be a bearish candle. So we're going to sell it. If it happens to come all the way down, I'll sell it. All right. Mike says here, would you have a short sitting below that price for a breakout to take your market? Yes, but it would be two consecutive closings, not just, Mike, not just when it breaks, because it could be a false breakout. I'm actually looking for two consecutive closing bars, like this. Right? So when there's two consecutive closing candles, that to me is my trigger. All right? So if you have questions, please, you don't have to wait until the end. I like to make my webinars as informal as possible. It happened to be a news event here that took off this, or provided us this chaotic candle. The Atlas line is what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show it to you live as it happens. Here are the parameters for the Atlas line. And I have it starting at 9:30, which is Eastern Standard Time for me. So in just about a minute, we should see the Atlas line begin to plot, as well as the orders that it provides. Okay. TA says here, are my decisions made on a 5-minute chart? Yes. Almost every trade that I take is based on either a 5-minute chart or a 1-minute chart, which is the trade scalper is a 1-minute chart. Uses a 1-minute chart. But besides that, I like to look at a 5-minute chart for all my trading. Okay. They don't have to be lower closings, 2 consecutive closings. Okay, let me just bring up my dome here. Give me a moment. All right, so there's a long at 1630.75. I'm going to go long here at 1630.75. Maybe get a better price. Okay, 1630.75. All right, now what? Well, this stop is a little bit too small, and this profit target's a little bit too tight. So I look at the ATR. The ATR tells me that about 3 points. So I'm going to go for 3 points on this trade. 1630, 33.50. 1633.50. Okay. I'm also going to have a stop that should not be more than double what this value is. All right, this is what's called a catastrophic stop. So I don't want to have a stop that's more than double that. Okay, but definitely I'm looking at the profit target of the ATR, and let's see if I can maybe move this around a little bit so you guys can see this a little bit better. Here, like this, and like this, kind of. All right, there you go. So we can see this here a little bit better. All right, so that is my profit target, 3 points. ATR, pretty volatile, right? You would say. And my stop is going to be 5 points maximum. So 5 points from 1630.50 should be a little bit better prepared here, but sometimes it's a little bit hard to trade while doing a webinar. But 28 from 30 would be 25.50. Should be my stop. Okay, no more than 5 points. All right, any questions, anyone? Okay, so Josh says here, do they have to be closing lower close? Do they have to be closing lower? No, they don't, Josh. It's just 2 consecutive closings for that news trade. Okay. Thank you, Ron. You got it. Are there good question? You know, Tom says here, are there automated systems that look for keywords from news to trade from? So are there automated systems that look for keywords from news feeds to trade from? You know, I'm sure that there are, Tom. I wouldn't say that, you know, that doesn't exist. I don't know. It's possible. It's completely possible. Okay, you got it, Josh. You're welcome. Mary Ellen's very good question. Mary Ellen says, are the stops usually this size? It's only this size, Mary Ellen, because the ATR here is so high. And so if you haven't seen this, this video, how the ATR, you can look on it on YouTube or on my DayTradeToWin videos page. The average true range tells me what is the current conditions. So the current conditions are very important. You can't have a small stop with the ATR being that large, almost 3.5 points. So I definitely recommend, Mary Ellen, to watch that video if you haven't done so. But this ATR right here, the average true range, tells me that 3 points is definitely possible based on how volatile the market is, and you have to have an expectation. A lot of traders come to me and they say, you know, I want to trade, for 1 point every day, and that's great. But what happens if the market's not moving at 1 point? I don't think you can still make that 1 point. I think you're going to have a hard time making that 1 point. So if the ATR is at 3 points, 1 point's no problem, right? Because you have enough action to get you there. So it's relative. Everything is relative. Okay, Mary Ellen? The Atlas line, James, is right here. Can you see this line right here? Right there? That's the Atlas line. Right there. See that little red thing? It'll continue to plot the entire day. James. Palu wants to know, hey Palu, what was that an entry based on the line? Yes, on the Atlas line. That was an entry based on the Atlas line, Palu. Okay, and so the Atlas line is right there. Okay. Mike says here, your profit target is the previous highs. Would you adjust the targets or leave them no matter what? What a good question. You know, I think you're absolutely right, right? All right, there you go. Okay, so I took an Atlas line trade this morning. Here is my double bar long at 1630.75. You know, Mike, I'm going to answer your question here in a second. I think you bring up a very, very good point. You know, if this is the highest highs, do I really want to put a profit target there? I mean, is it smart? Obviously, you have to forward think this a little bit. It could very well bounce off the highs, right? Double tops. And, you know, you may miss it. So is it smart to maybe put it a tick or two in front of it? Yes, absolutely, Mike. I thought about doing that, but I wanted to show you in real time on my account how I trade the Atlas line, because you've probably seen a ton of videos out there, but nobody really does it like I do. I try to do it live. I try to show you how it's done. And if I say that the current conditions are 3 points or 3.25 points or 3.5 points, you may think, wow, that's a lot, right? But it's relative, you know. If I could very well have taken a point and be done with it, and that would have been definitely fine by me. But the current conditions dictate that 3 points or 3.25 points actually are available. And if they're available, then I'm going to try for them. But I agree with you. It is, you know, my profit target is at the highs of the day. Is it smart to maybe, you know, front run it? Front running is a term used to say one tick in front, right? You're front running it before everyone else. Excuse me. So would it be smart to do that? Absolutely. Okay, just to answer your question. All right. But I did want to show you that the ATR, and actually it was 3.25 points. So if I wanted to take an extra 1/4 point, right, I would have gotten it anyway. But being conservative, I think, is a very smart thing to do, Mike. All right, Frank D, can you please explain the entry process? No problem, Frank. Give me a second, Frank. I will be happy to do that. You got it, Mike. Cloud, thank you. It's not, and by the way, I'm showing you something that went in my favor, but it could have well, you know, not every trade is going to be 100%. So, you know, I want everyone to kind of be in check. There's no, you know, there's no holy grail right out there, system or indicator. The only thing that we can do is follow rules, be mechanical, understand why you're doing what you're doing, and you know, this trade did work in my favor. Okay, so Frank wants to know the entry process. Yep, you got it, Frank. I will. Let me just get through some of the questions here before we go into that. Carlos says, would you be shorting or looking for any signal? Not right now, I wouldn't. Carlos, I would not. Okay. All right, Najam. Najam is one of my students. I think you have the Atlas line, right, Najam? Stop loss on the first double trade from third. Mike, is there was news at 10 o'clock? Mike says here, if there was news at 10 o'clock, would you wait after the news? Absolutely, Mike. If there was news, a high priority news event, yes. All right, good job, Najam. You could, Tia. You could definitely do multiple contracts and trail. There's no Nothing says you can't do that. All right, so let me get to some of these questions here. First, Frank asked me 3 times, can you please explain that entry? Okay, there's a reason why this entry occurred, okay? And one of the things that I definitely like to look at is, in essence, you know, why are we doing this, right? Why are we going long here, right? Is it? I'm not going to just stare at a screen and then this magical number appears here, and I rush to my dome or my chart trader. I want to be prepared ahead of time before this signal comes out. And so the reason why, Frank, this trade occurred is because there were 2 consecutive closes, 1, 2 consecutive closes that traded above the Atlas line. Now, if it comes roaring back down, it very well may, and there are 2 consecutive closings below the Atlas line, then you're going to get a signal to go short. So Frank, you wanted me to explain the entry process. The entry process is 2 consecutive closes trading above or below the Atlas line will then give you a trade, okay, to go long or go short. And the idea is to take long trades when we're above and take short trades when we're below. Now, the line shows up right away, Josh. The Atlas line shows up right away. Okay. Now, Frank, besides that, we have to manage this, right? Because it's not just going long and then what. So the management process is very important. So let's say that I entered long here at 16.30.75. What's the game plan? What am I going to do if this goes against me? Well, the first thing here is that I'm going to give this 3 stops. There's actually 4 in total that you learn with the Atlas line during the training that we have, but there's 3 stops that I use initially when I enter a trade on this double bar long. The first stop is going to be a catastrophic stop. The catastrophic stop tells me that, let's say that I go long and then there's some type of earthquake or attack around the world. Something happens that is that's going to move the market against me. If I know there's a news event, I'm going to wait a few minutes before I jump in, right? So a catastrophic stop is really there to be the stop of last resort, okay? And usually it's double the ATR. But I never like to have a trade that's more than 5 points. So double the ATR up to 5 points, right, on the E-mini. All right, so the ATR was 3 or 3 1/4 at the time, so I'm going to risk a maximum of 5 points. If that ATR is at 5 or more, I don't trade. I think it's too chaotic and too volatile. So I have to have a catastrophic stop that first keeps me in the trade in case the market goes up and down and up and down. It's not always a straight line up like this. Sometimes it goes and retraces down a little bit. So if I have a stop that's too tight, or at least it should not be less than what the ATR is. So if the ATR is at 3 right now, if I entered into a trade, I would have to have it a little bit more than 3, because I already know that these last 4 bars give me an average true range of 3 points up or 3 points down, right? So if this is where it's currently trading at, the ATR tells me it can go up 3 points or down 3 points. And so if I have a stop that's 3 points or less, I can very easily get stopped out just by the movement, the random movement of the market moving up and down and up and down. And that happens to a lot of us. When you're trying to have a small stop, that's what occurs. So I'm not a big advocate of using large stops, because I know when they do happen, it hurts, but you have to at least go in with a chance when you enter into a trade. Okay? So the first stop is a catastrophic stop. Typically, it's double the average true range up to 5 points. The next stop that I use, right, so this is, and that's why I set that in stone as soon as I began trading. The next stop that I use with the Atlas line is called a time-based stop. And the time-based stop says, well, if I am going to take a trade, how long am I willing to wait for this to go in my favor? Okay, am I willing to wait an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? No, I want to see an instant gratification. So the time-based stop is going to be 4 bars. Okay, so if I'm using a 5-minute chart, it's 20 minutes. If I'm using a 15-minute chart, it'd be an hour. So a time-based stop is 4 bars. So that means that as soon as I enter, I want to see a profit target within the next 4 bars. And if that profit target isn't reached by the end of bar number 4, then wherever it may be, a small win, a small loss, a break-even trade, I'm closing out the trade. Okay? 1500, Tony. All right. No, the roadmap is totally different. The roadmap is totally different. Okay? Apples and oranges, right? The Atlas line is what you see here, plotting. Right. Okay. Okay, so that is my second stop. So if I can't make my profit target by the close of 4 bars, then I'm out of the trade. All right, last but not least, when entering on these double bar long or double bar short trades, I want to have some type of proof or evidence to get me out if it shows me that there's some proof or evidence that I shouldn't be there. And that's going to be a prove it stop. And that is a total of, or I should say, a closing price on the opposite side of the Atlas line. Okay, so if I enter here and right away the market says I'm going down, then the first closing price that happens below the Atlas line, I'm out of the trade. Even if it's by a tick, it's proof that I shouldn't be long. So the initial stop that I have is used as the last measure. Okay? Is used as the last measure. But the time-based stop and the prove it stop, right, if there's a close on the opposite side, like this, then it's an automatic out. So I'm trying to look at this in a rational way. Proof, time, as well as catastrophic to protect me. All right. Josh question here says, could you use the Atlas line for a roadmap for itself? You know, I have a Josh. I have a method called the roadmap method that I teach in the mentorship program. So I may be confusing the two, but as far as you using it as a roadmap for yourself to say, I want to go long, I want to filter out trades, I only want to take long trades because price is above the Atlas line or below. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Dean here, do you recommend starting out on the 5-minute chart? I think the 5-minute chart is the best chart to trade on. And the reason is because if you look at all of these time frames that are here, these time frames here are all divisible pretty much by 5. So if you think about what most traders are trading, they're not trading a 12-minute chart or a 6.5-minute chart. It's either a 1-minute, a 3-minute, a 5, a 10, a 15, a 30, a 60. They're all divisible by 5. So if they're all divisible by 5, then I know that I can catch a move on a 5-minute chart regardless if it happens at the 10, 15, 30, 60, 5, 3, right? 3 times 5 is on a 15, and a 1. Okay? So that's the reason why I recommend the 5-minute chart. You got it, Tony? The bar has to close below the Atlas line for a prove it stop. TA? That's correct. It has to close. And that's why I have a catastrophic stop. In case if it touches that catastrophic stop, I'm automatically out. So the prove it stop is a close below. A catastrophic stop is a touch. Okay. Dean says here, you say that it's an automatic out. Is that a manual close of the position by the trader? Yes, Dean. So let's say that after 20 minutes, 1, 2, 3, 4, the profit target wasn't achieved here. You would go to your dome and you'd click close here. Okay? Or if it happens to come all the way back down while you're in this trade and closes on the opposite side of the atlas line, below the atlas line, then you would come here and click close. Yes, you would manually have to do that. The NinjaTrader is what I'm using here, and TradeStation also has the matrix version of this where you can place your, I have here a bunch of them here, where you can say I want to take 8 ticks, or you can customize it. This is called an ATM strategy, and actually I should have changed it to 8 ticks and 16 ticks stop, and then I would adjust it a lot easier, but I just happen to use what I had last. And this would automatically get you out of the trade, stop and profit. Okay, Dean? Walter says here, will you get another atlas line today, or will you use this one all day long? Excuse me. Good question, Walter. You can use the atlas line. There's actually 4 ways that you can add the atlas line to your chart, or 4 different times. I recommend the US Open, which is right here. I set it to the market open in my time zone, so I'm in Florida, Eastern Standard Time Zone, and therefore the E-mini market opens for me at 9:30. It takes a little bit of time for it to start plotting, typically about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes sometimes. So it's waiting for something to happen before it begins plotting. It doesn't always plot right at 9:30 as the market opens. So if you lived in California, this would be 6:30, right? You have to set the setting to 6:30. But the 4 times that I like to use are here, and I'll add another atlas line here. The London Open for 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So to answer your question, can I add another atlas line to the chart? And the answer is yes. Here is the overnight. Now, I don't trade overnight, but here is the overnight. All right? There was a short. The rules are exactly the same. There is a long and a short here, and then a couple of more longs, right, into the pre-market of the US Open. So we have the US Open, the European Open, which is, I consider it the London Open, and you can also plot it at noon. Oops, did I just erase the atlas line? Yep. Let me add that back on. 9:30. Okay. So there's also the 12 o'clock, which is noon, and 1400. And 1400, which is for late day rallies and late day sell-off. So you can use this same atlas line all day long to only take long trades as long as price is above. And you can see here some S's and P's. These are strength and pullback trades, right? Based off the overnight. It's telling you to go long based off strength and pullbacks, and all this is explained in the training, how these orders are developed. But you can update the atlas line. But I definitely recommend it at the US Open, the London Open, and then 12 o'clock Eastern Standard and 1400 Eastern Standard, just 2.5 hours after the US Open, okay, for additional trades if you need to. All right, Walter? NJ says here, how far away from the atlas line would you enter as your prove it stop may be too big? That's a great question. Typically, that's double the ATR. I don't like to enter. I think it's a more of a risk to enter when you compare where the atlas line is to your first trade of the day, double bar long. It should never be more than double the ATR. I think there's just a higher risk that it's not going to work out in your favor. You want to enter as close as possible and take it up. As close as possible and take it up. Okay. So if you look at this trade here, this is 1631, right, roughly, and this is 1626, right? That's about 5 points. The ATR at the time was 3.25, 3.5. So that's about 6.5 points. So I know that I was within that range where I can still enter. It's not overexhausted, overbought, oversold. All right, NJ? All right, you got it, Josh? It works on tick charts. Yes, it does. You got it, Dean. You're welcome. Ricardo. Can it be used on other platforms? Ricardo, it could be used on NinjaTrader, TradeStation, and eSignal. Now, if you're not using NinjaTrader, TradeStation, or eSignal, let's say that you're using, I don't know, Metastock or MetaTrader or Thinkorswim or any of those other platforms, which I'm not a partner of, I can give you this NinjaTrader charting platform for free with live data. And you can add the Atlas line to your chart, and you can see it exactly as I see it here. The only thing you can't do is trade from it, like I have. But you can have the charts up and running with the Atlas line software, and then you can go to your charting platform and initiate the trade, or have your your dome or however you place the trade on your side next to it. And that's what a lot of traders do. They're committed to their own particular brand. I can't accommodate 30 charting platforms. There's so many out there. I try to accommodate the 3 big ones, and so I can get you the live data with live charts, so you can see the Atlas line. You just have to trade it off your own charting platform. Okay, Ricardo? Mary Ellen says here, do you have time of day the best to use? Do you have a time of day this is best to use? Yeah, I think, Mary Ellen, that the U.S. Open and the London Open are the best times to trade. Typically, the first 2.5 hours of any trading session are the most volatile, right? And if you look back in history, you can see that as 2-3 hours into the session come around, the market becomes very slow, and it starts to wind down. And the opportunities, they occur, but they're not as strong as they are right out the gate from within the first 2 or 3 hours. 2.5 to 3 hours. Okay. TA says here, that was a great example for ES. What about other markets, stocks, for instance? Can this be used on daily charts? It cannot be used on daily charts, TA. This is a day trading software, day trading system. It cannot be used on stocks unless the stock is 24 hours or has 24-hour data, because the Atlas line needs 24-hour data. So what that means is, if you are going to apply this to a stock, you would either have to use an index that the stock is in to kind of guide you through it, or you would have to use a 24-hour stock. Besides that, it's only a day trade. Okay, and the times that I recommend, you can put this at any time, right? I mean, you can add this to a 1-minute chart, right? So here's a 1-minute chart. The rules stay exactly the same. 2 consecutive closes is the entry, 1627.50, closing price. And then you have all these strength and pullbacks. Obviously, there's more trades here. The ATR is much smaller, but you're using a 1-minute chart. It's smaller time frame, smaller profit. Or if you want to use a 15-minute chart, same thing. Here's a 15-minute chart. Here is 1637.50, the entry for a 15-minute chart right there. Okay. My preference, nice and simple, a 5-minute chart. All right, TA? Ricardo, let me know if I answered your question. I'm trying to get through these. There's a lot of questions, so I'm going one by one in order here, okay? You could, Josh. You could trail stop, Josh, if you'd like. I'm more in the camp of all in, all out, right? I mean, I'm not trading one contract, so I don't need more than one trade to make my day. All right, Josh? But you could trail stop, absolutely. NJ, I might have already answered your questions. There's about 20 questions here that I still have to answer. So if If I haven't answered it yet, please let me know. Again, all right? As I see here, that you're asking a question here, okay? All right, guys. So I appreciate if you wouldn't mind while I'm doing the webinar, not to give the office a call here. I'll give you guys a call later. All right, no worries. Okay, so we have here Dean says here, thank you. You're welcome, Dean. Mike says here, please explain the entry again and what's the outline. Sure. I will, Dean. And Mike, I mean, give me just a moment. So here we have the atlas line begin to plot right there. That's the atlas line, Mike. And I'll get to everyone's questions, okay? Just give me a second. I'll get through all of them. So here we have 1, 2 consecutive closes above the atlas line. So here's the atlas line. It begins to plot. And as soon as there's 2 consecutive closes, it doesn't matter if it's 2 red bars or 2 dojis or 1 green, 1 red. The closing price of the second bar is the entry. Very simple. Doesn't have to be overly complicated. I don't have 10,000 indicators here in my chart. I'm looking at the average true range at the time to tell me what the current conditions are. Current conditions were 3 1/4 points actually. I just took 3. Front ran it here. 3 is more than enough. On the very next candle or two, the 3 points was achieved. 1633.75. And then I explained how the stops, I have to, after I enter, I have to have a catastrophic stop, a time-based stop, a prove-it stop. All right, Mike? And there's obviously more to it, right? There's the strength and pullback trades that come after. This is going to be a pullback trade here to go long in a few minutes. So, well, it's actually setting up to be a pullback trade. So there's definitely trades that you can continue to take throughout the day. But the initial move of the day is always the best, or the beginning trade. And then you can take it long the entire day if you need to, as long as price is above the atlas line. Dean says here, how does the atlas line handle ranging markets? Ranging markets are terrible, Dean, right? I mean, if there's a whipsaw market, you're going to get, and you can see from the recent trades listing on the DayTradeToWin website where I record all of these trades. When it's whipsaw, you're going to get, obviously, the market's going to get you in, and then it's not going to go anywhere. And that's why the time-based stop is important, because I'm not holding on to this when it's whipsawing. After 4 bars, if it's a small loss or a break even or a small win, then I'm finished with the trade. I'm done with it. And so under the whipsaw, Dean, situation, you have to get out, or you have to get stopped out, and you take the next trade. Typically, I only allow this to go against me twice after I say this is not the day to trade, it's whipsaw. Now, one of the things, Dean, that you can definitely look for to avoid that whipsaw is when there's an afternoon news event, an FOMC or something else happening in the afternoon. Typically, the day is going to be whipsawed. And the reason for this is because everyone is on the fence. Nobody wants to go long or go short. So it just goes long for a little bit and then whipsaws and goes short, and vice versa. Channels. And then as soon as that afternoon news event comes out at 2:30 or 2:15, the market goes ballistic. And so those are the days that I find that are the choppy days whenever there's an afternoon news event. Okay, and you can prepare yourself for that. But yeah, you're definitely going to have a whipsaw. That's just part of it. The idea is to get the smallest stop based on that. Okay, Dean? Mike, let me know if I answered your question already on the atlas line. Explain the atlas line and the entry. All right. Guess I'm not sure what you're referring to. Let me know. All right, I answered. Okay, thanks, Mariellen. It does have an alarm. You can set Frank here an alarm. Actually, I just heard the alarm. This is a pullback trade here to go long, right? A 1-point trade to go long. Here, you can set a wave file, a sound. NinjaTrader has one already, so I included this alert 4.wave, but you can have whatever. You can get free wave files off the internet for an alert. Okay, these are filters. Anything less than 1 point on the ATR, the trade should not appear, so we're well above it. So that's a filter when the market's too slow. This bars back in font size just shows you where the text is displayed. If you want the text closer or further back or larger or smaller, it's just settings for the text. Let's say you want it larger, so that's what it looks like when it's larger. Okay, and you can turn on these trades. You can turn on and off the bounce trade. This trade double closes is this. Here are pullbacks and strength trades. This is a pullback trade, and so on and so on. You can edit how you want the line to look. Some traders want it as a straight line. I like it as a dash. Okay. All right. Josh says here, can you start with a 3-minute and change to a 5-minute to get an earlier entry? Yes, you could. But once you start, Josh, with a 3-minute chart, which you could, you're committed almost to following it through, to see it through. You have to follow the rules based off of that. Okay. I would say if you're going to stick with a 3-minute, just go with a 3-minute. Yes, Mary Ellen, I leave my stops alone, the catastrophic stop, and I wait for the target at the end of 4 bars, Mary Ellen. My time-based stop, I get out of the trade, or if I see it close on the opposite side, it's a prove it stop. Okay. So this here is a long at 1637 quarter, 1 point trade to 1638 quarter, from here to here. That's all I want on these pullback and strength trades is 1 point. I just have one right now, TA. I think that you sold, that you wrote this message before this pullback trade here. All right. How many trades does the Atlas line give? It's all dependent on price. Some days it gives more, some days it gives less, but you're at least going to get 1 to 2 trades minimum every single day. Okay. Tox. Today is just a day that I went straight up. So I'll give you an example here. Let's go to a day, let's take a look here, where it has multiple trades here. Okay, so this was yesterday or day before yesterday, where the double bar short gave you this trade, and then you have here the entire day. Sell, 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 sell. This is the only one that didn't work out. This did not make the point. And then later on, it had more sells here. So even on the day that just keeps on going, you have additional trades to go short. Absolutely. Tox. Or long. It doesn't have to always just be like that to get you long or short. Okay? Alright, you got it, Dean. You're welcome. And not really set every day to begin plotting. You just have to have it on your chart. No, you don't have to set it every day. You just add it to your chart, and that's it. Tox. All right, Chris, you got it. Email me if you have any questions. Then, Ron, if that's an issue where you're entering late after it has already hit the profit target, Ron, I would not bother with taking it a second time or trying to get in a second time. Once it hits profit target, I would say you're done with it. Okay. I just heard the bell here. Setting up for a yo-yo. You got it, Claude. Very good, Claude. Claude, you have the power price action. You got it, Ron. And if there's a lot of questions. If I miss anyone's questions, please email me. I'll be happy to answer your questions via email as well. All right. S means strength. Asif. S means strength. P means pullback. So if this is a strength, it's not a short. It's a S for strength. So this is telling me that there's strength in the market that I want to go long. The P's are for pullbacks. So there's the market's pulling back and heading higher. It's a long entry. So the S's and the P's are just delineating strength is happening, go long, or pullbacks are happening, go long. But you can have strength and pullbacks below the market. They would just mean if there's strength to the downside or the market's pulling back. So what you see here, this S here, is telling you to go long, that there's strength in the market. It's a specific setup that the Atlas Line software provides to you. Okay? At the market or limit. Both entries at the market or limit. Either or, market or limit, Tom, are fine. Dean, the power price action is completely different because it's not software based. It's all based off of the candles. So the power price action, there's no software. You're going to learn how the power price action is what it's all about, the orders, the stops, the profits, when to get in. They're just completely different. It depends, Dean, on what you're after. If you want to trade stocks or other markets, you can trade the power price action method because it can work on daily, weekly, minute, but there's no software, and it comes with a bonus as well. The Atlas Line is software, and even though I teach you how the Atlas Line works during the training, you have to apply it to your chart. So really, it's apples and oranges, Dean. What you want to start with. You can go back in history, sure, and take a look at all the trades, TA, on TradeStation or Ninja. Now, Ron, you're asking me for June 3rd. Email me your question. I'll send you the chart on that, Ron. All right. I am starting a mentorship class on June 20th. I have some people signed up already. If you'd like to join me, the Atlas Line is included, lifetime license, in the mentorship program, as well as all the other methods, the at the open method, the two scalping, the roadmap, the power price action, which I call the blueprint. So all the methods are bundled into one program, and that's starting on June 20th. So if you have interest in it, feel free to email me or call me. I can send you over the syllabus, which covers what we learn week by week. Everything is recorded and sent to you, so you have a copy of the recorded lessons for the entire 8 weeks, 9 weeks that we spent together. And there's also full support, obviously. Chris says here, high-frequency trading robots. Have you seen the video, Chris, that I did on high-frequency trading here? And there's a couple of freebies that I'm going to give you, or I'm going to show you today, that if you're interested, I can send to you as well, Chris. A couple of things that I think maybe help your trading if you want. It's hitting the roadmap, huh, Najam? Yep. So if this is a roadmap area here, Najam, definitely we're going to hold off on taking any long trades until it breaks through that roadmap. Very good, Najam. Najam is one of my mentorship students. All right, you got it. Let me pull up a couple of freebies here for you. Let me go over what I have to offer. If you look here on the on my indicator list here, I recently created an ABC indicator. It's called the ABC method. I'm planning on giving this out for free to everyone. Obviously, I have a video on it where it shows you what this is all about, so I decided to get it coded. So when I add this to the chart here, it's not completely ready. It's still in testing mode, but what it does is it tells me, it starts to break up the day. So let me go to yesterday here. So you see how it starts to break up the day based on the ABC method, right? I teach this method, and there's videos on it, how it works. And so what you see here is it breaking up the day between the A, B, and C. I have an indicator now for it. I would say look for maybe another week or so before the programmer gets back to me. And so right now, this blue line here is telling me that if the market's going to be trending all day long, it'll start shading it out. And it's an actual method you could use. I think it's something that's very valuable. I look at the ABC every day. That's one freebie that's coming your way. The other is if you look at here the DayTradeToWin website here, and this is here, and we go to software and we go to the free downloads. There's a couple of things here that you can download for free for NinjaTrader. One is this news indicator. It should be working right. I think there was a small glitch with it, but it should be working now. And basically, this gives you all of the news that occurs throughout the day, but it's an actual indicator that's plotted on your chart. So as far as a news indicator goes, I think this will definitely alert you. If you're trading and you're not prepared, you can see it right on your chart. And it works for European, US, high priority, low priority, so you can customize it a little bit. The other is a online news calendar. You know, we get caught sometimes with news, so whether you want to have an indicator on your chart for the news, or you want to have this online news calendar, I'm going to click here, and it takes me right to news, and every week it gives you 1 week in advance. Okay, so you can either go with a news calendar, or you can go with the news indicator. And this is for TradeStation traders who use a bar timer. I noticed that TradeStation doesn't have a bar timer. I offer one. I got one coded for TradeStation users because having a bar timer is important. I want to know when a candle opens and closes. So this is for free. And Karen's Time Sync is just a program that runs in behind your computer just to make sure that your computer clock is working properly. Okay. All right, Chris, good job. So pullback trade, successful. Strength trade, successful, because I'm only taking a point on these trades. 1 point on the pullback and strength trade. All right, everyone. It's Friday. I'm done trading. I don't have any classes today. I'm going to do a little paperwork here, and then I'm going to spend the rest of the day with the family. So have a great Friday. Email me if you have any questions. If you want to join the mentorship program, I think it's a great program. A lot of traders really benefit from the all-inclusive. You can check it out here on the DayTradeToWin website. Okay. All right. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. You got it, Marilyn. Have a good weekend, Dean. You as well. All right. And you remember, if you guys want to call me and ask me a few questions, I'll find the time. I want to make sure that the program is right for you, right? Instead of just jumping in to something. You got it, Chris. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend, guys. Take care now. Bye-bye.